Hey everyone, this is Mr. T checking in. I hope all of you are doing well and staying safe and finding different ways to keep yourself busy and do new things or find things interesting during this time. Um, I found out a new way I could kind of edit my videos and add and cut different pieces here and there, so you might be seeing a little bit more of me. I'm gonna try to find more interesting ways to update my videos, so expect a lot of riddles or different things coming up. Okay, just wanted to say hi.
Alright, today we are going to start section G10. Parallel lines cut by a transversal. Okay, so we've dealt with parallel lines already. Okay, so let's just jump into a diagram. Okay, we'll call this line AB, and we'll call this line CD. Okay. So what do we already know about parallel lines? Okay. So parallel lines do not intersect. Okay, that's one thing we know. In order for them to not intersect, okay, they need to have the same slope. Now, something that might be new is how we do the notation. Okay, if these two lines are parallel, we write it like this. Line AB is parallel. Let me do that again. Parallel. Two straight lines is parallel to line CD. Okay. So here we have two parallel lines, AB and CD, that do not intersect. And because they do not intersect, we know they must have the same slope. Okay. Now, we're going to look at what's called a transversal. We'll call this line R. Oh, let's have 2 points. X and Y. Okay, we call this our transversal. And what line XY does is it intersects both lines AB and CD. Okay, so we have two parallel lines cut by a transversal. Okay, so there's this line that intersects both line AB and CD. That line is XY. XY is our transversal. Okay, and what we're gonna do today is look at angles that are created. There's 8 angles created. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, what I show you today works for any set of parallel lines cut by a transversal. Okay, so I'm going to draw another diagram that's going to be different. Okay. And no matter if it looks different, as long as I have two parallel lines cut by a transversal, all of these rules are going to be true. Okay. Okay, so we're going to look at corresponding angles. Okay, so we'll have our parallel lines. Cut by transversal. And we have our angles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So, corresponding angles. Okay. Corresponding angles are the angles that look like one another. Okay, now we're going to have two sets here. We have the upper part and the lower part. Okay, so let's look at the bottom part. Angle 6. Does that look like an angle on the upper part? Okay, so angle 6 hopefully should look like angle 2. Okay, so corresponding angles are the angles that look like one another. This is in the upper right hand side. This is in the upper right hand side. Okay, so what we know about corresponding angles is the measurements of these two angles are the same. Okay, now there's 4 sets we're going to look at. If I look at angle 1, which angle on the bottom do you think looks like angle 1? That's going to be angle 5. Okay, so the measurement of angle 1 is congruent to the measurement of angle 5. Okay, take a second, see if you could match up the next 2 sets. Okay, what are the next 2 sets of angles that are congruent? Okay, I'll give you about 10 seconds. Alright, so if I look at the bottom angle here, angle 7, that one's going to be congruent to angle 3. And lastly, if I look at angle 4, that's going to match up with angle 8. Okay. So, let me highlight all of these things for us, just so we could see it a lot easier. Alright, so measure of angle 2 matches up with angle 6. Measure of angle 1 matches up with angle 5. Measure of angle 7 matches up with measure of angle 3. And measure of angle 4 matches up with measure of angle 8. Just look at the top and bottom. They look identical. Okay, these angles have the same measurement. Okay, these are called corresponding angles. Okay. Now, we're going to look at our next set. Okay. We're going to look at alternate interior angles. Okay, so I'm going to copy this here. do that again. Okay, so alternate interior angles has to do with the angles inside the parallel lines. Now, there's only 4 angles inside the parallel lines. Okay, angles 3, 4, 5, and 6. Angles 1, 2, 7, and 8, they're outside. They're the exterior angles. Okay? So, with alternate interior angles, all we need to know is the angles that alternate sides of the transversal. Okay, that's our transversal. Are congruent. Okay, so angle 3 and angle 6. Okay, what alternate interior angles tells us is these two angles have the same measurement. Okay, so the measure of angle 3 is congruent to the measure of angle 6. Okay. Now our other set of alternate interior angles are 4 and 5. The measurements of angles 4 and 5 are going to be the same as well. Okay. These are our alternate interior angles. Okay. Now, last rule we're going to look at. Rule 3. Alternate exterior angles. Very similar to alternate interior angles. Okay, except now we're looking at the exterior, outside of the parallel lines. Okay? So the angles that alternate on the exterior first are 1 and 8. Okay? So what we know about these two angles, they have the same measurement. Okay? That means 2 and 7 also are going to have the same measurement. Okay. So, these are the 3 main rules we're going to need for today's stuff. Corresponding angles, you could look here. These are the angles that equal each other. Alternate interior angles and alternate exterior angles. Okay? So, what kind of questions might you see? Okay. Let's try some. Okay, so let's say we have 2 parallel lines cut by a transversal. Okay, and I'm gonna replace some of these. So I replace angle 2 with 50 degrees. Okay, I'm gonna ask you this. What is the measure of angle 6. Okay. So, this is 50 degrees. This is angle 6. What do we know about these two angles? They are what types of angles? Okay. These are corresponding angles. Okay. So, sorry. What do we know about corresponding angles? They're the angles that look like each other and their measurements equal each other. Okay? So if I replace angle 2 with 50 degrees, then I know angle 6 is going to be 50 degrees as well, because corresponding angles equal one another. Okay? So this is question 1. Question 2, I'm going to ask you this. Solve for x. Okay, so I'm going to replace 3 here with 2x plus 20. Okay. So now there's 2 ways I can approach this. I'm going to approach it this way. Okay. What kind of angles are these? These angles here are alternate interior angles. So what do we know about alternate interior angles is that they equal each other. So if I want to solve for x, I know that 2x plus 20 is going to equal 50 degrees. Okay. So if I'm solving for x, x is going to equal 15 degrees. Okay. And one last example. Let's say I have this, and I ask you, what is the measure of angle 7? Well, these two angles are what types of angles? They are alternate exterior angles. And what do we know about them? They have the same measurement. So the measure of angle 7 is going to be 50 degrees. Okay. So for the work you do today, this is what you mainly need to look at. Okay, the 3 rules we looked at today. Okay? Again, make sure to ask me questions, send me emails, ask me anything on Google.